Hi, everybody. This is the Gospel of John study. My name is Bill. I'm from BCUMC. This is week 12, and this is day 3, and we've been studying John chapter 21 this week. We are going to pick up today with verse 10. So let's get started. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish you have just caught." So Simon Peter climbed back into the boat and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, but even with so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." None of the disciples dare ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. Jesus came, took the bread, and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the third time Jesus appeared to his disciples after he was raised from the dead. All right, I'm going to read from the text from Ben Witherington III, starting on page 173. It's called Breakfast by the Sea. There are some odd features to this story. On one hand, we have already heard that there were fish and bread on the charcoal fire Jesus started. On the other hand, we hear Jesus tell the lads to bring some of the fish they have caught, but apparently not for eating. Peter does what Jesus asked at some juncture, probably later. Somebody actually counted the haul of fish. But what is the point of telling us 153 fish were caught, and large fish that at that, impressive as the number is? The gospel is full of symbolic tales, and this may be one. There is some evidence that the ancient writers thought there were 153 or so different species of fish in the world. The 2nd century Greco-Roman poet Oppian makes the suggestion to this effect. Somewhat after this gospel was written, and the early church father Jerome cites it. Let us press this for a moment. Suppose the net represents the church. The fish represents fishing for all the different kinds of human beings to bring them into the net. If this is intended, the evangelist does not spell it out. It is possible he has some subliminal message in mind, not least because it was Peter whom Jesus first called to be the evangelist to human beings. It was Peter on whom Jesus said would be found his community, and it was Peter whom the apostle to the Jews. And we probably see Peter pursuing his calling not only in Acts, but also in 1 Peter, where we learn that he has been busy in the eastern portions of what we call Turkey today. Jesus then feeds the disciples with bread and fish, a typical meal, much like the one with the 5,000, which likely took place not far from this locale. The statement that none of the disciples dare ask Jesus who he was, for actually they knew, seems strange on the surface of things. But it is just possible that, to some extent, Jesus looked somewhat different than he had before. After all, he now had a resurrection body, not the abused one that the beloved disciple last saw before Easter Sunday. Clearly there were several things different about him, not least was his ability to appear all of a sudden in rooms, and then disappear. Perhaps this explains this particular sentence. Let's look at the questions now for today. Why do you think Jesus asked the disciples to bring some of the big fish they caught, if, as apparently was the case, they were not going to eat them? Question 2. Do you think we should see 153 as a symbolic number, or just another example of the stupendous nature of Jesus' miracles in this gospel? And question 3. Why was breakfast by the sea an appropriate setting for Jesus to talk to these fishermen? All right, until tomorrow, have a great rest of your day.